All right, good evening, everyone. Starting to feel a little bit better. Still not 100%, but I'm trying to push myself to make a video anyway, and to do so in a cheery way that should accomplish a lot. It's Rosh Chodesh Elul. It's a time for tshuva, a time for repentance, a time to return to God, to return to our source. You know, there's so much to talk about. And I think, first, just one thing I want to say, I regret last night there was a beautiful thunderstorm, and I could see when I was driving, and I realized I have this phone right where it is. I could take videos of driving. I've done so, and that it didn't strike me to do that at the time because it was such an incredible storm, so mamish niflus abare, so beautiful, and I wish I could share it with my viewers here, and maybe get some more viewers through that, because those are the kind of things people get interested in to see, I think. I'm trying to find my niche here on YouTube. I see there are a lot of YouTubers who are popular, get a lot of views, just rambling, not saying very much. So trying to get that market too. But really, what I believe in things and talk just what's on my mind. God gave me this time now to be driving. Now I could listen to Mark Levin now, which I enjoy listening to, and I just listen to another, sometimes I listen to YouTube videos while I'm driving, because a lot of these videos there's not much to see, but there's a lot to listen to. So, and it goes through the, what do they call it, the Bluetooth into my radio, so I could listen to the videos while I'm driving. But there's a time to be makabel and a time to be mashpia. I just watched one video, a YouTuber I never saw before. Someone, a college student, someone who identifies as a Protestant Christian, and is interested in world religion, and some videos that this YouTuber made, dispelling myths that Protestants believe about Catholicism and things like that, and I found it interesting. And what's fascinating to me is, the same YouTuber also made comments about Islam, and also with one of the questions that was asked was, "What's your favorite non-Christian religion?" And she said Islam, and then she said, but it's kind of not fair because it's so similar to Christianity. And she talks about how the roots of certain things in Catholicism and in the Eastern Orthodox churches are rooted in Judaism. Yet you don't see her saying that she's expressing any interest in Judaism, and it's curious to me, why that is. And I think a major reason is that Jews don't really live their faith. If you judge Judaism by the Jewish people, it would come out with a very negative view of what Jews are, and that's really what I wanted to talk about today. And it's an issue that I think really have to reflect on, because there's so many people who, according to halacha, are Jewish, or at least by the parlance I prefer to use, they're non-Gentiles, and yet they have no interest in Judaism. And there are plenty of Gentiles, mostly Christians, but also Muslims and others, who I think would make much better Jews than the average, what we would call born Jew, or someone who is a non-Gentile. Meaning a Jewish heretic is not really Jewish fully, because they don't a man who's a Jewish heretic, an apostate, doesn't count for the minyan. His wine isn't kosher, things like that. They're not really part of the Jewish community if they're apostates, but they're also not Gentiles in the fact that they don't need to go through any conversion to come back into the Jewish community. And they also are required to become Jewish. But the thing is that one friend of mine, he says, logic should require everyone to become Jewish if you really bother to study what Judaism is about. And the question is, how do we bring people to Torah? What's going on? Why are people not interested in Judaism? Meaning, why, for example, this particular YouTuber who is on fire for her faith, even though maybe she's not extremely pious, this yes, no, and she questions, but she's certainly an extremely spiritual person and knowledgeable about religion and seeking knowledge about religion, and yet Judaism just doesn't come into the equation. I mean, this reminds me of so many things that we could talk about vis-a-vis the question of Judaism in general. Rabbi Siegel, who I've been learning a lot from over the years and had the merit to meet twice. Maybe it was just once I actually met him, but he spoke on the phone. But mostly I read his Facebook and so forth, and I get so much out of learning from Rabbi Siegel. He tells a story that, and there are many similar stories like this about the Dalai Lama, but he tells the story with the Dalai Lama where he says there was the Dalai Lama was speaking to a group of people from different religions, and one of them asked, should we convert to Buddhism? And he said, no, you have to find spirituality in your own religion. So one woman got up and she said, yeah, but that's too bad for me, I'm Jewish, and there's no spirituality in Judaism. And the Dalai Lama had to tell her, well, if you say that, then you don't know Judaism. What do we mean by that? It's exactly what I say. First of all, what is spirituality? How do we define spirituality? There are many ways to define spirituality. I facilitate a group in the hospital where I work, where I serve as a chaplain, that we call a spirituality group, and it's a pretty fluid group. It doesn't have particular goals, but we discuss spirituality, each person according to their own understanding and so forth, and we discuss, I was given, well, after maybe a few months after I actually started doing this group, I was given a guide, a manual to how to, from the state, because it's a state hospital where I work, from the state of New York, how to conduct spirituality groups in these type of settings. And the definition, and my group is one of the more popular groups that people want to join. They're not always able to. They often have other things, but a lot of people get a lot out of it. And I'll tell you the truth, one of the most difficult things when well, first of all, when we have these groups, the groups are how do we define spirituality as far as this group is concerned? And it is whatever makes your life meaningful. That's how it's defined. And so I say, for most people in the world and throughout history, religion is what gives us our spirituality. But then you hear the term of people who are spiritual but not religious. The thing is that it's almost impossible very near impossible for a human being not to be spiritual in some form. Now that doesn't mean you necessarily have to believe in things that are not scientific, that are not logical, that are not rational. And that doesn't mean that you have to join a particular religion or be what we call in the modern parlance spiritual but not religious, meaning most people who consider themselves what we call spiritual but not religious do accept the existence of things that are supernatural. I'd posit, based on that definition that we're using here, that you could be a total skeptic, a total atheist, and still you could not avoid being spiritual, because spirituality is not just religion and not just meditation, or even things like art and music, emotional things like that, but even things like science, math, history, politics are essentially spiritual, because there's a difference between the human life and the animal life. And so therefore animals don't have math the way we have math. They don't have science the way we have science. They do have political structures, but not the way we do. They don't have a sense of history the way we do. You know, the Cocker Spaniel dog doesn't look back at the first, dog of the Cocker Spaniel line to receive its AKC certification, or whatever it is, the way we look at George Washington, And not only that, but the fact of the matter is that all of these things are human constructs, meaning the fact that we create these dog breeds, for example. Dogs don't have a sense of one breed over another. A dog won't feel any affinity more to a dog of its own breed than to a dog of a different breed. They just feel that affinity of the fellow dog, regardless of breed. And yet we'll have to admit it is difficult for us to overcome these feelings of race that we have, which we, in a certain sense, I believe we should overcome, and which the traditional religions encourage us to overcome, whether it be Christianity or Islam, for sure. Don't believe in any concept of racial superiority, and the fact of the matter is, I believe Judaism is also a non-racial religion in its essence. Totally. These issues of race really have to be overcome, and I think that might be a major reason why there is this sense that Judaism is not spiritual and not a religion for people to consider, even. And that's going to be the subject of the next video I'm going to make. I'm going to take a pause here. Well, let's see. Hold on. Let's see if we can well, it's 15 minutes already. I think that's enough for this video. And then we can go on from here. All right. God bless. Thanks. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we're going to discuss a little bit more about this as we go on. And of course, religion is spiritual. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying that this term spirituality can be used for really anything in life. Also, I just on my own, I've always said that there are negative spiritualities just as there's positive spiritualities. And there are, of course, different definitions of spirituality. There are more parochial definitions. In general, we tend to use more parochial definitions of spirituality, personally. throughout our various cultures, and so all these things are issues of semantics that we have to talk about. Well, thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, and comment. And I look forward to continuing this dialogue. Thank you.